And at this point, I would like to introduce Kris Kiser, OPEI's Executive Vice President, to provide you with a little update on some of the major issues that are impacting this industry today. Kris?
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
I'd like to echo Bill's, how am I sounding? Echo Bill's comments. Appreciating you attending the show this year. I just want to be very brief today, bring up to speed on a couple of the policy developments that we're following. In California, legislation was introduced and passed that OPEI initiated. It reforms the California Air Resources Board in their treatment of violations. It doesn't sound particularly sexy, but what it did was correct the way California treated our manufacturers within the regulatory framework. What was happening is California, as you know, is fiscally challenged, and the Air Enforcement or the Emissions Enforcement Agency was going after reputable manufacturers with some outrageous fines, if you will, for paperwork violations, and ignoring offshore manufacturers who were bringing in non-compliant product. And it became a genuine burden, both administratively and financially, for the business. And so OPEI, along with 17 organizations in the state of California, initiated legislation that moved through the California legislature and was signed by the governor this year. Dramatically reforms the way CARB assesses penalties and deals with manufacturers. It is a robust change in California, our largest market, and a positive one. The other thing I want to bring to your attention is ongoing efforts to deal with policy challenges relating to the managed lawn and landscape. We talked to you last year about organizations, NGOs, environmentalists, and others that were attacking the managed lawn as cosmetic, frankly environmentally harmful, not helpful. You saw that in WaterSense, EPA's WaterSense program, which would limit turf grass to 40% of the landscapable area on a new home site. Now that's border to border, coast to coast, whether you're in Death Valley, California, or Portland, Oregon. It's a huge challenge for the business. It's a voluntary standard, but much like Energy Star, it can become part of everyday building. We saw this year in Georgia, in the Lake Lanier Water District, that's the water district that services Atlanta and many of the surrounding counties. In a water region, this is what we feared, is that a municipality or a water district or a state incorporates those sort of criteria by reference, and they attempted to do so. This would have made it mandatory in any of the 20-some-odd counties surrounding and including Atlanta, that would simply be the new home building standard, period. You'd have 40% turf in a landscapable area. You also see the Sustainable Sites Initiative, International Green Building Code Council, and others that are doing similar things. So the industry is working with our partners, American Nursery and Landscape, the Irrigation Association, the Turfgrass folks, and others, to deal with these at a policy level. Something OPEI did, what we found was there was a lack of understanding about the environmental attributes out there. No one was telling our story, in the marketplace, to policymakers, regulators, and frankly in the schools. But we looked at the plain science behind some of these issues. Photosynthesis. Plants, as you know, absorb carbon, give off oxygen, helps in climate change. The heat island effect. Runoff. All these issues. And so we created curriculum with a well-respected national educational curriculum development shop, Weekly Reader, and we went into 30,000 schools last year with our turf mud character. Now, those of you who were here last year might remember the little black and white dog that came out with me, who was the inspiration for the turf mud character. And turf mud, as a cartoon character, battles the bad guys, heat freak, dust steam, and carbon creep, and the evil Dr. Runoff. It was very well received in the schools. We had a lot of demand for the product. A lot of teacher associations wanted it, and they wanted the program expanded. We're very pleased to report to you, in addition to that, the Discovery Education Network, a division of Discovery Communications, the people that bring you Shark Week and Deadliest Catch and Animal Planet, came to us. They're the nation's largest education curriculum development shop. They now are the #1 provider of education curriculum to schools across the United States, both online and in print. They came to us and said, we believe strongly in your turf mud program. We think you're onto something with that little dog. We want your dog. And so the OPEI Board of Directors looked at the Discovery proposal, and we've moved our program from Weekly Reader to Discovery Communications starting this year. Just prior to the show, we have our new landing page for the new Discovery Education TurfMut site. So it's turfmut.discoveryeducation.com. It's in the press packets. If you want to stop by the OPEI booth during the show, where Discovery Education has provided us with a luggage tag. And so it will be nationwide in tens of thousands of schools this year, funded by OPEI and provided by Discovery as we continue to expand the program. Again, teaching the benefits and stewardship of the managed landscape. We believe that our industry must present a face on stewardship. That the environment, the outdoors begins at your back door or your front door. You can have a role in making sure that your lawn and landscape is an environmental asset and not an environmental problem. So it's wise water use, and again, talking about the benefits of the managed landscape. Lastly, I want to talk about a decision that EPA just announced a couple of weeks ago, which is going to radically change the fuels marketplace for all of us, and in particular, presents our industry with some enormous challenges. Prior to 2 weeks ago, the only legal fuels in the marketplace were E0 to E10 for every engine product, and then E0 to E85 for flex fuel automobiles only. The EPA has now approved E15, that's ethanol with 15%, or it's a gallon with 15% ethanol, into the marketplace, but only for a subset of the auto market. For 2007 and newer automobiles. It is specifically not approved for outdoor power equipment, the marine industry, ATVs, snowmobiles, utility vehicles, etc. It's specifically not approved. We believe that EPA will announce at the end of the year that E15 will be approved for 2001 and newer automobiles, but again, for no non-road use. Now that's about 50% of the auto fleet. So then the retailer is now confronted with, do I sell E10 or do I sell E15 for half of the auto fleet, but it's not approved for anything else. Now EPA also told us that at exactly the same time, people base their fuel purchase decisions almost exclusively on price. E15 is going to be cheaper. There's less energy in ethanol, and it's going to be cheaper than gasoline. 15 is going to be cheaper than 10. E20 is going to be cheaper than E15. So you're incentivized to buy the cheaper product. If you don't know, you have to buy more of the product. Now EPA has told us we're going to put a new label on there, a new label on the pump. Now it's going to fully warn consumers not to put E15 in your outdoor power equipment and other non-road product. We don't believe that's adequate. The challenge for us is in a misfueling environment. EPA has also told us an individual is not likely to activate 2 pumps. So you might trigger your one pump that legally fuels with E15 in your car, but that's what's going to go in the jerry can. You're not likely to put that pump up, go to a separate pump, and fill your jerry can, which fills the bass boat, and the chainsaw, and the mower, and the ATV, and the snow machine. We think this is a huge challenge. The machines are not designed for it. The Department of Energy tested our product. There were 900 engine families. They tested 28 engines with 4 families. They all failed. Performance irregularities, increased heat, failure, unintentional clutch engagement. All bad stuff. So EPA and DOE don't want this fuel in our product. But they're also not telling the marketplace to mandate fuel. We're just going to say you can sell it. We're not going to tell you got to sell it. We're not going to tell you got to have a legacy fuel out there. So our industry is now challenged. The fuels marketplace is changing. More biofuels are coming into the marketplace. Congress has mandated the use of expanded biofuels. We're about 12 billion gallons right now. It has to go to 36 billion by 2022. 15 billion, ethanol is capped at 15 billion gallons. But we're burning less and less gas every year. The trend line is actually down on gas usage for the United States, up in Asia, India, China, etc. But here we're going to fall. Increased CAFE fuel economy standards for cars, which will come out this week or next, which will more than double, likely triple the existing current CAFE standards. California is moving towards electrifying their auto fleets. So we have a big ethanol mandate, fewer gallons of gasoline. The The transition is happening. It's very complicated if you're an outdoor power equipment manufacturer. That's related to what are your liability issues and warranty issues on this fuel product. So that's a complication. Fuel availability is going to be a complication. So I just stay tuned. This is going to be it's a complicated issue. Now there'll be a lot of folks get involved legally now. EPA's made their decision. Food interests are opposed to this. Environmental interests are opposed to this. The auto interests are opposed to this. Non-road, marine interests are opposed to this. It's very complicated to put this responsibility on the consumer to make sure the appropriate fuel finds its way to the appropriate product. So there'll be a lot of petitions for review. That's a legal challenge to the decision. So you're going to see a lot of engine manufacturers and user types, food interests, environmentalists, and others filing petitions to review that decision. Our industry is likely to be a petitioner, along with a lot of other industries, including the oil industry. And these petitioners will get aggregated into a large-scale effort sometime next year. So with that, that's a heads up on that. Please feel free to contact me at any time if you need additional information. So with that, any quick questions? Super. Thanks so much. Appreciate y'all coming to the show.